Roman Abramovich owns this £150 million mansion in London. Now, he doesn't live there and he's not allowed to sell it.
Abramovich was an unbelievably good owner. What anybody says, he put his own money in, he left it with no debt, he was passionate about it, he came to games. I think the worst owners are absent owners, right, who don't feel the temperature of his fan base. That's just an investment. You know what? There's better things to just put your money in.
A Russian billionaire that was forced to sell his empire that he built in football. He was the owner of Chelsea FC. He done a lot for this club. He went on to win the Champions League, but because of his association and friendship with Putin, the UK government forced him to sell Chelsea and not even be able to keep the money out of it.
Roman Abramovich is the owner of Chelsea Football Club and various other high-value assets in the United Kingdom. He's a person of interest to the Home Office.
In 2003, Roman Abramovich, a Russian billionaire who amassed his wealth through oil and gas ventures in the post-Soviet era, purchased Chelsea Football Club for approximately $140 million, including the club's debt. At the time, Chelsea Football Club was a mid-tier Premier League club with limited success.
But we're moving in a different direction, and the standards will be brought up. You leave that to me. Players, training ground, food, everything like that, stadium is my responsibility. The football is your responsibility. And it was very black and white. It was like that, do your jobs, and if not, you'll be replaced. And that got addressed to us a couple of times after sacking managers as well.
He definitely made an instant impact. Abramovich's investment transformed the club into a global powerhouse.
I don't think I ever would imagine that Abramovich screams.
Oh, he does.
I just thought he was just like calm guy.
He does, especially when he sacks the managers. Once he told us, listen, guys, you think you're here? You think that's it? I have the money. I will pay you off, each and every one of you. You leave the club. You think I can't because you think you have contract for 4 years, whatever it is. You think that's it. You're going to be here. No, you're not performing. I'll give you your money. Thank you very much. Bye. I'll bring someone else in. I remember he's saying that, and Nicolas Anelka whispered, it's like, yeah, give me the money.
Funding high-profile signings and appointments like Jose Mourinho. Over 19 years, Chelsea wins 5 Premier League titles and 2 Champions Leagues and numerous other trophies. Over them years, Abramovich's ownership raised no immediate red flags with the UK government or Premier League, despite there being rumours that he acquired his wealth in an unethical way.
We started investigating Roman Abramovich 4 years ago. Confidential source passed us information about how he made his billions in Russia. The source says the details were secretly copied and translated from files held on Mr. Abramovich by Russian law enforcement agencies. We can't verify that, but we have been able to investigate the claims in the document.
This secret document contains details of corrupt deals and political protection from the Kremlin. Now, we've made extensive checks and they back up many of the details in these 5 typed pages.
And it was February 24, 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, prompting widespread and international sanctions against Russian oligarchs, and Abramovich, perceived of having close ties to Vladimir Putin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Face scrutiny in the UK and EU, his ownership of Chelsea becomes a focal point in the Western governments as they targeted Russia's elites to pressure Moscow.
Roman Abramovich is the owner of Chelsea Football Club and various other high-value assets in the United Kingdom. He's a person of interest to the Home Office because of his links to the Russian state and his public association with corrupt activity and practices. Last week, the Prime Minister said that Abramovich is facing sanctions. He later corrected the record to say that he isn't. Well, why on earth isn't he?
Mr. Speaker, it's not appropriate for me to comment on individual cases at this stage. And it is. But what I can say, and I stand, Mr. Speaker, by what I've said in the House and what we've put on the record. But be in no doubt that the actions that we've already taken, that this House has already taken are having an effect in Moscow. And by exposing the ownership of properties of companies in the way that we are, by sanctioning 275 individuals, already a further 100 last week, the impact is being felt.
On March 2nd, 2022, Abramovich announces his intention to sell Chelsea, stating that the net proceeds will be donated to a charitable foundation for the benefit of all victims in the war in Ukraine. This move is seen as an attempt to distance himself from the club amid growing sanction risk. And just a few days later, March 10th, 2022, the UK government under Prime Minister Boris Johnson sanctions Abramovich, freezing all his UK assets, including Chelsea FC, due to his close relationship with Putin. This impacts on Chelsea. Well, Chelsea bank accounts are temporarily suspended by Barclays Bank, as the bank say they are assessing the sanctions and a special government license to ensure compliance. The club is barred from selling new tickets, merchandise or signing players. It can only operate under a special sporting license from the UK's Office of Financial Sanctions. This impacted Chelsea, having limited activities like fulfilling fixtures and paying staff. Chelsea's corporate credit cards are temporarily frozen and the club faces financial strain, with reports suggesting cash reserves could run out by late March 2022 if there is no solution to this. The sale process. The sanctions halted Abramovich's initial sale plans, as he cannot benefit financially from any transaction.
Well, as I say, the club primarily can't sell itself. The club is an asset, and that asset is owned by Mr. Abramovich's company. So if you've got an administrator, as I say, comes in to look after the club, what they're trying to do is sell the club on the basis that the monies that they get in for the sale of the club can be put towards creditors of the club. You don't really have this type of situation here. If you've got 4 or 5 people that are bidding for the club, then in a normal world you would sell the club to whoever the highest bidder is, assuming that that highest bidder can also satisfy the Premier League with regard to the ongoing financial commitments of the club, because as part of any sale, the Premier League has to firstly approve the buyer, and they have to approve that the buyer has sufficient funds to be able to fund the club going forward. If you've got 4 or 5 rival bids, then I do agree with you that in essence, if you've got a license to basically take over and sell the club, how do you choose which is the best sale? Because you haven't got the same mindset as the owner in making that commercial decision.
The UK government requires a special license from the sale, stipulating that the proceeds must not go to Abramovich and should be used for humanitarian purposes. So between March 11th and May 2024, 2022, they were in limbo. Chelsea operates under severe restrictions, with Barclays and other partners like Sponsor Free suspending relationships to avoid breach and sanctions. The UK government oversees the sale process, requiring bidders to gain approval from the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. Abramovich's initial $3 billion asking price is deemed unfeasible due to sanctions, forcing a rushed sale. The Chelsea fans were still supporting him despite this war. They were chanting his name during matches and drawing criticism to the UK government, which reminds supporters of his alleged ties to Putin. May 24th, 2024, the UK grants a special license allowing Chelsea's sale, provided Abramovich does not benefit, and proceeds are directly put to a charitable foundation for exclusively humanitarian purposes. The license details were not publicly disclosed. The license reportedly authorized a foundation to support all victims of the conflict in Ukraine and its consequences, per Abramovich's team. However, the UK government later clarifies the funds must be solely for this. The takeover was led by a US investor, Todd Bowley, and a private equity firm. The purchase of Chelsea was at £2.5 billion, and the sale is finalised in under 3 months, a rapid process driven by sanctioning pressures. £2.5 billion proceeds are deposited into a UK Barclays bank account belonging to Abramovich's company, but remain frozen under sanctions. Their funds cannot be moved without a separate license, which requires agreement from a charitable foundation, structure and purpose. December 2024, all this time after, the Telegraph reports that £2.35 billion, slightly adjusted figure, remains frozen in Abramovich's account, and the Labour government under Keir Starmer remain at odds. Only a small portion of the funds had been released, released to cover legal costs for setting up the foundation. Another update, just 2 months back at the time making this video in March 2025, the 2.5 billion remains frozen still. No foundation has been established of this situation. Ukraine are missing out on this money. The UK's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office say it plans to resolve the issue, but Labour ministers have not met with the foundation members or Abramovich's team since the July 2024 election. A Labour MP called Emily Thornberry calls the situation ridiculous, criticising Abramovich for delaying aid to Ukraine victims. A Conservative MP called Andrew Mitchell questioned whether the funds will reach Ukraine even by mid-2025. The new ownership has not gone down well with the fans. Despite them spending a lot of money, Todd Bowley has been under a lot of criticism and faced challenges adapting to Chelsea's complex operation. Fans have already protested against the new owners, with some nostalgically chanting Abramovich's name, reflecting dissatisfaction with the post-Abramovich era. Roman Abramovich will always be loved by the fans. He took them just from a basic club, mid-tier finishes with not many great players, to going on to having the best of the best and winning trophies like the Champions League. Although this is a massive chunk of his money that he lost through the Chelsea situation, his net worth in 2025 is still 9.2 billion. I'm sure he's surviving. He's got many yachts and different assets across different countries. If anything, I'd say this guy lost money investing through Chelsea and pumping so much money into it and not even be able to sell the other end just because he had association to Putin and the UK government wanted to apply pressure. This might be a warning to future owners. If you piss off the government in any way, they can come and freeze your assets and take your money from you.